spotlighting her work. So, as I say, welcome to any of the new members, anyone who hasn't been to the Lunch and Learn before. And what we do is we tend to have questions and answers. You can put them into the chat, and if Deirdre has time, then she can answer the questions. And if not, the video and the questions will be uploaded to the Lunch and Learn section of the platform. And I'll do a short update, community update, after Deirdre has completed her input. So, Deirdre Betson. Deirdre is the college nurse at the Technical University in Blanchardstown Campus, and her background, she has a nursing degree from Trinity College, a graduate certificate in sexuality and sexual health education from DCU, and Deirdre has done the reflecting on and responding to domestic abuse and coercive control that we run here, Haven Horizons, through the TUS Flexible Learning Department. She's also done consent, sexual violence and harassment, practitioner skills and practice, and that's with the active consent in University of Galway. And so Deirdre is going to give us an insight today in the role of the college nurse in raising awareness and also supporting students around domestic, sexual and gender-based violence.
Thanks so much to Madeleine and Katerina for having me here today, and thank you all for coming to listen. So, as I said, I'm a nurse here in TU Dublin, Blanchardstown, but there's nurses in all the universities across the country, and we do have a role to play in supporting students who have experienced domestic, sexual and gender-based violence. So I'll start by telling you what I do. So I run a nurse-led service here in TU in Blanchardstown, and we have a wraparound service for students. So that entails, like, there's free GP clinics here. We have free counselling for the students as well, which is really, really important, because the cost of a GP and the cost of counselling is prohibited for most students. So it's great to have that service here. Around sexual violence, each university in Ireland has a sexual violence prevention and response manager who is responsible for running all those programmes within the university, and they can be contacted for information and support, and they're brilliant. We've pastoral care, disability services for students. We also have a financial and housing department, and that's really important if we get a student who's made a disclosure around, maybe coercive control, financial control, or maybe there's domestic violence at home and they need to leave. So it's about getting them a safe space, somewhere to live, and getting financial support for them as well. So we do have that wraparound service. It's really important, the whole piece about confidentiality. So students are very reluctant to disclose unless they know there's absolutely no way that you're going to tell anyone else. So we need to let them know it's a medical consultation. So therefore it's bound by confidentiality. And in that means that it's confidential, and the only way that we could break the confidentiality, and we say this at the start of all consultations, is that if the person discloses that they're imminently suicidal, we have to keep them safe. If they say they're going to harm somebody else, we have to prevent that from happening. And the third thing is around child protection issues, again, because we'd be mandated reporters. I always tell them my background. I say, look, I'm a general nurse, I'm a mental health nurse, and I'm also a sexual health educator. So they know that it's a safe space, and I'm a professional within that area that they can talk to and get reliable information. And around the Student Health Centre then, that I would have support signage so that they know that this is someplace where they can come and talk to somebody about that. We also saw those sexual violence survey results from 2022, which were quite staggering, from the Central Statistics Office. And in that, like, what a huge result, that over half of all women that were sampled reported experiencing sexual violence in their lifetime. So I suppose that really puts it on our radar that no matter where we are, no matter what organisation we're in, no matter what room we're in, that half of all women may have experienced sexual violence. So that gives us a mandate to be aware of all this and to know how to support people. That second statistic there, 28% of men reporting sexual violence in their lifetime. And to be honest, that's probably underreported because of the stigma and the shame that's associated with men reporting sexual violence. And then that 22% of those aged between 18 and 24, now that's your cohort in a university really, they have reported experienced sexual violence both as a child and an adult. So that means the person coming into us could have experienced childhood sexual abuse. So we have to be very, very aware of that. And you're kind of looking out for the little messages or the things, the openings to have conversations with the students about that, so that they know it's a safe place that they can discuss. And when you drill down into the results then, and you look at specifically the experiences of third level students. So there was 6,000 students surveyed nationally by the Active Consent Unit in the University of Galway. Now that was done in 2020 when everyone was living online. So they really did get a high uptake of results. And the way they worded it was, had they ever experienced non-consensual penetration? Now, non-consensual penetration, that language is really, really important. That's actually rape. So, but sometimes people don't recognise that they have been raped or aren't ready to accept that. So it was couched in a different term, non-consensual penetration by incapacitation, where the person couldn't consent. They weren't in a position to consent, and that might be because they were under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Force, they weren't given a choice, or the threat of force. So out of fear, and they complied. Now, that was 29% of the female students that responded said that they actually had been raped. So that's a significant result. 10% of the male students, and again, that's probably definitely underreported. And if you look at that one there, the non-binary students, 28% of them, like that's right up there with the female students. So, and I suppose the issue with students who are LGBTQI is that a lot of them may not be out, they may not be comfortable, they may not feel safe to be out. And sometimes that's weaponized against them within a relationship, where the threat of outing them is used to make that person comply against their wishes in regards to sexual activity. So where might a nurse hear these disclosures, or where are the openings to have the conversations with students? So there is free contraception now available for women in Ireland aged between 17 and 35. So we will get a huge amount of contraception consultations. So we do all the education around contraception for the students. So it can very easily come out during that consultation. And we would always, make openings for the students as well. We would ask them, have they discussed the contraception with the partner, and if they were under any pressure, or how was the relationship, things like that. Just little openings, so that if they want to discuss something, they could. And they might just say, oh, everything's fine, it's fine at the start, but they might come back in a week or two later and and want to talk to you again, and that's fine. All we're doing is we're here as a support service, and to be able to enable people to make disclosures, or just to find more information if that's what they need. We also would get consultations about emergency contraception, and maybe a partner has sabotaged somebody's contraception, or maybe it was just, these things happen, and emergency contraceptions there for a really good reason, and it's a 3-day and 5-day emergency contraception, and we would do the education around that for students. But what if someone's coming for emergency contraception and they've been assaulted? So we just need to give them that opening there to disclose if they need to, or if they want to talk about that, because there's two very, very different pathways. So if somebody has been sexually assaulted, they need emergency contraception, but we're directing them towards a sexual assault treatment unit. We're not just sending them across the road to Boots to get emergency contraception. Two very, very different pathways for somebody who's just had an accident and needs emergency contraception, or somebody who has been assaulted and is looking for it. We would also have students coming in to get tested for STIs, but it's because they've had an exposure, they've had unprotected sex. So, and again, that's another opportunity as an opening to make sure that unprotected sex wasn't an assault. So again, we're just being very, very open with students and giving that opportunity to talk to us. And again, they mightn't talk straight away that day or that, but they might come back to you again about it. So we do get disclosures around the universities of students who have experienced sexual violence, and you can see from the sexual experiences survey that that it does happen. So we would be a signposting service as well as support. So we listen, believe and support. That's our role. So we do direct people to the Rape Crisis Centre because they are the experts in this area, and that's where the person will get the ongoing support, and they have choices in what they want to do going ahead in the future. So that could be their crisis counselling, that could be the accompaniment services, and or that could be, you know, somebody who's had an experience of sexual violence a long time ago. They could be joining the Finding Your Way After Sexual Violence support group. So we do raise awareness about this, and I would have lots of leaflets around the student health centre for students, so that they know that that it's a safe space. It's kind of the silent messaging for people. One of the programs that the Rape Crisis Centre has is the We Consent Ambassador program. Now, I did that program, and I am a We Consent Ambassador and proud to be. And what that program is set up by young people for young people to they can do. It's a short, I think it's 6 weeks is what it was, and it was like one night a week for 6 weeks, and you train to become a consent ambassador. So you're trained to like start conversations with people about consent, and it's really important. It's kind of peer to peer that those conversations get started, and it's great if you can get young people engaged in that program, and that they are then well placed within their peer group to have those conversations and maybe to challenge the rape myths and things like that. So I do some sexual health education classes with students, and I would always recommend and point them towards that. Actually, on that We Consent website, if you look it up, they also have a platform called We Speak, and it's an anonymous platform where students can put in, or students or anybody can put in a disclosure about a sexual assault or sexual violence experience, and maybe that person isn't ready to tell anybody else, or they don't want to go to the guards, or they don't want to go public, or they don't want to go to a counsellor, but they can put that their experience out there anonymized on a platform. And for some people that's cathartic, and for some people it's the start of their recovery journey. So it's just good to know those things are there for people. And also within the universities, there is a Speak Out platform again, which is an anonymous reporting platform where students can report, and that data is gathered in an anonymized way as well. We would always, any students who experience domestic violence, we would be pointing them in the direction of Women's Aid and supporting them there. And again, that's what you're trying to do is make sure that person is safe, you know. So if they're going to make a report to the Gardaí or anything like that, you need to make sure that there's a plan in place, a safety plan. So that we would put them in touch with Women's Aid so that all those things are in place if they're planning on making a report to the guards for something maybe that's ongoing. We would also, I would talk to the students about their relationships and try to get people coming in crying and giving out about the boyfriend and all of that. But I do talk to them about the relationships and the red flags and the green flags. And, if something is coming up that I'm kind of thinking, oh, that sounds like it might be coercive control, I will talk to them about the 2InTU website. I said, did you ever see that website? You might have a look at it. And you just kind of give them openings and suggestions where they might look to get more information. And in that website, there's a quiz, the relationship quiz. And I'd say to students, sure, if you get together now and you could do that quiz together and see what the results are. And it's kind of just very good for them to think about the relationship and the things that are happening and things that have been said or what's being asked, or, having their location on all the time, what they're allowed to wear or not wear. So it's a really, really good one to have for young people. Another brilliant campaign is the White Ribbon campaign. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. So it's an international campaign, and in Ireland it's run by the Men's Development Network, and the Men's Development Network promote men ending gender-based violence. So I would do talks, say, with the apprentices here, and I would always bring this one up, and in it is a commitment, a pledge to never commit, condone or remain silent on men's role in gender-based violence. So if you look at a White Ribbon campaign, it's a really, really good campaign, and it's a really worthwhile one to raise awareness about. The other thing that students come to us about is dick pics. So nudes, and it's really, really important that they are informed about the impact of the impact of being harassed for nudes, or having their nudes shared, or being sent unsolicited dick pics, that kind of stuff. So there is a bill now, a law against it now, which is the Harassment, Harmful Communications and Related Offences Act 2020. That's COCO's law is what it's called. And it is an offence to take, to distribute, or to publish intimate images of a person without their consent, even if there's no specific intent to cause harm. And this, even if the person gave consent at the time, but they were shared with somebody else, that's actually against the law. So it's really important that young people, because they live online, and dick pics are very, very common, and people are, sent a pic and say, oh, you send one back, and they're pressured into doing it. So there's great information on that website, webwise.ie. If you go to that, you'll really, really get great information on COCO's law, and it's great one, again, to direct young people to get more information. So you're trying to just arm them so that they can make choices for themselves, but they're informed choices, because they know exactly what the law is around what they're doing then. Again, so people will find that their stuff is shared up on social media. So it's really, really important that they know where they can go to report that and get it taken down. So all the socials have their own reporting tools, so that and they do work to take that stuff down. Hotline.ie is a brilliant website if you go on to that, and that will explain everything about reporting. If you see images of even child abuse, if something comes in on somebody's feed, you can report that to Hotline. And again, if there's intimate images being shared of somebody, that can be reported. And again, the guards are trained now in supporting people around this, so it's great to have the support there and know where to go if somebody is experiencing extortion, again, to report to Hotline. So something that people don't talk about an awful lot is pornography, and that statistic there on your screen is quite staggering. So if you think back to 2020, we all lived on Zoom, but in 2020, porn sites received more website traffic than all our Zooms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Netflix, or Pinterest combined. So that's staggering. So it is important that we do talk to students about that. And I suppose where I'm coming from as a sexual health educator is knowing that most students will have had very, very poor sexual health education. And if they don't have a point of reference, and if they don't know what sex is, what it looks like, what it sounds like, who does what to who, what the boundaries are, they will go online and they will look for that information. And because of the absolute amount of free pornography available online, they are going to see stuff that's really, really harmful. But if they have no point of reference, they're going to think that that is what a sexual relationship looks like. And in most pornography, you're going to see harmful behaviour that's degrading, where a woman, it's usually the woman who's getting slapped, choked, her hair pulled and degraded in awful manners. But in it, she probably would be smiling, and because that's what porn wants to do, is portray that as normal. But people are experiencing strangulation and everything on it. So, and if young people see that and think that that's a healthy sexual relationship, well, they're going to use that to replay that. And we did see that in the Anna Creechel murder, where 2 13-year-old boys were watching porn and tried to relive that and murder Anna Creechel. So it's really, really important that we know that we are comfortable with talking about pornography with young people. If you want more information, there's a brilliant website. It's called Culture Reframed. I think it's culturereframed.org. And Dr. Gail Dines is a world-renowned expert in the area of pornography, and she runs that website. So if you want more information, there's little short courses and things like that parents can do, and it's for different ages and stuff like that. Really, really great. So Culture Reframed, I think it's .org. Okay, so the next thing that has come up with students, and this is the latest thing, is rape test kits, which are self-swabbing kits. Now, these are not available in Ireland, and I'm not aware of them being available, but they are available in UK and Bristol University. There was a student there who set up a website It is myenough.com, and the Instagram is enough to end rape, and they got these rape test kits, which are just like little DNA swab tests, and we're selling them to students who thought they may have experienced sexual violence. And really, while very, very well intentioned and coming from a very good place, there is a concern that these rape test kits aren't valid when it comes to the judicial system. In the in the US, they're unregulated by the FDA, so they lack clinical and legal legitimacy. And there's concerns. So the Faculty of Forensic and Legal Medicine at the Royal College of Physicians in London created a position statement about this, where they expressed their concern that those kits do not meet the standards for clinical utility, and they risk disadvantaging the survivors. And I suppose the self-testing kits could put the survivor at risk, because if the result comes back with no DNA, then does that mean that there wasn't a sexual assault? And does the person then think, well, the DNA wasn't there, so I must have not been assaulted? But maybe they were. And also those test kits are testing like orifices, but they're not testing clothing or anything like that. And there's no kind of chain of custody as such. So they don't necessarily provide reliable, independent evidence, and that's why there's a concern about them. So I did talk to the SATU here, which is in the Rotunda and Sexual Assault Treatment Unit, and they would have the same position as the as the UK with regard to those test kits. So where to get factual information? Students come and they tell you all kinds of stuff that they have read and seen online, and particularly in TikTok. So our role really is to make sure that we can empower them to make decisions about their own bodies and their own choices, but it must be an informed decision. So what you want to do is put that student in a position where they know where to get the factual and evidence-based information that's non-judgmental and that won't see them wrong. So the website that I use every day of the week is sexualwellbeing.ie, and I point every student comes in here with regard to their sexual health, I point them to that, and I just get them to take out their phones and to bookmark it on their phone so they have it. They can't be thinking, what was she talking about? There it is, it's on their phones. Belong to, brilliant for LGBTQ students. Spun Out is another one that's brilliant. We spoke about We Consented. The Consent Hub then is the one that's run by Active Consent in Galway. Again, brilliant resources, videos, everything there if you want to know more about consent, or if you're talking to people and you want more information, you'll definitely get it there. Where am I doing for time? I'm on 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to end up now with a really short clip. So this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek little video about consent and asking for it. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this little clip.
Yeah, but look what she's wearing. Asking for it.
Wearing a low-cut top means you're asking for it. I wonder what else we could ask for. Depending on what we wear.
Hi, can I help?
No, you're good.
Sorry, you can't go in there.
I'm sorry, what are you doing?
Just here for that promotion.
What?
You know, just asking for it.
Yeah!
But she doesn't even work here.
Right. I'm off.
Karen, where are you going? It's 2 o'clock.
I'm going on holiday, Alan.
Did you clear it with HR?
Didn't need to. Look at what I'm wearing.
You could have just asked.
Hello?
I do.
Just waiting for my free Ferrari. I just really want a dog. Damn it! Chocolate cake.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, if you're playing for Arsenal, you're not going to want to eat this, are you? Better get back to training.
I'm not a footballer.
Oh. Oh, well, what do you expect us to think when you turn up wearing that? Asking for it.
Rinsed, sharp.